We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hi, this movie was really bad.
It was pretty shit.
It's reading cheap. It's reading corny. No pun intended. But I did have a good time.
And you're listening to They're Here
podcast.
A discussion
And dissection.
of all things horror.
Fear. And macabre. So today
What are we doing?
We are doing
Tell us.
2020s/2023's Children of the Corn, Shudder exclusive. Not made by Shudder though.
Pop the corn and feed the children.
This movie was kind of unique in the sense that it was one of the first movies to be filmed during COVID. Which was kind of exciting. People were kind of like, oh shit, like we're still going. I feel like that was one of the main things that I was thinking of during COVID, was like, fuck, we're gonna have like no new media for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, we got this.
That sounded like very derogatory towards it, but we got this.
I don't know, the photos were very promising. Cast and set photos were giving kind of a Manson family vibe. Kind of a... I almost kind of thought that it might be a period piece, like still set in the 70s, but no.
Yeah, so it does give off the vibe where you're sort of unsure as to what kind of era it is in, even though we have FaceTime in this film. It certainly gives off, let's say, backwood Americana meets social justice. I don't know.
Not in
It's
an
just
annoying way, though.
strange.
In a way that actually seemed realistic and kind of made sense. Like, not in a New Texas Chainsaw kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, the New Texas Chainsaw really kind of, like, shoved it down people's throats in a way. That was a bit much.
Shall we say took a chainsaw to your mind?
And see, the thing is, social justice oftentimes is annoying, so I get why it's in movies, and I get why it's prevalent, you know? Like, we got a lot of, like, environmental stuff in, like, the 70s, because that was, like, the pressing issue then.
Yeah.
And things of, like, crime in the 80s, and, you know, stuff like that. So it's, like, I get that it is kind of time relevant. I don't know, I think sometimes people don't want to go to movies for politicized stuff, but also...
We quite literally go to the cinema to switch our brains off from reality.
What's that Nicole Kidman thing from AMC? Somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this. I don't know.
If you could hear my eyes audibly roll back into the skull.
And you can behind that thin, crepe, papery old skin. I don't know. Children of the Corn, I feel like, is a good avenue to go down a kind of environmentalist road. It actually does kind of make sense.
Now let me tell you why you're wrong in this case.
I don't actually think so.
I do, because this is one of my biggest gripes, is the film does not fucking know what it wants to be, or what audience it's aimed at, or what narrative it's trying to put across, right? So that's my number one sin with this film, is it does not fucking know what it wants to be. So the first thing is, it tries to give off this impression that, because the kids kind of like almost like look at the camera and tell you that there's something wrong with this town that they're living in.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. So it tries to give off this whole kind of Derry Maine vibe from like Stephen King's It, where it's like, oh, there's just something, you know, dead and rotting in this town, and, you know, i.e. the corn. And it just kind of seeps itself into the film, and it just doesn't work. And it kind of doesn't go any deeper than that idea. It doesn't really investigate how it corrupts the people in the town. It doesn't investigate how it seeps into the children or anything like that. It's sort of all just done wishy-washy, nimby-pamby nonsense at the beginning, where the kid, the main one, Bo, or whatever the fuck her name is, is straight up just like, oh, there's something wrong. Can't you feel it? You know, the adults at this place is sick, or whatever the hell her name is.
The little Greta Thunberg.
Oh my god, did you hear that? How dare you moment. You've stolen my dreams.
I think that does make a lot of sense for a movie like this, though, because, like, the adults are very quick to kind of be like, I'm not, and here's why. The adults are very quick to kind of just be like, fuck it, we're getting rid of the town, basically. And the kids are all like, yeah, but we also have to fucking live here. Yeah. Like, this is our place to grow up in. This is our future also. And, like, we're not even getting a say. Which I guess, like, is true, you know. Adults do, a lot of the time, think about themselves first and not think about, like, the knock-on effect of their choices now. Which I guess is kind of why we have a lot of, like, generational strife between generations at the moment. Because it's like, well, we're all poor and can't afford houses, and it's you guys' fault. Or, like, we have environmental problems because nobody ahead of us was thinking about us or thinking about, like, how problems will knock on down the line, you know? And I do kind of think that we get just enough of it to hint at it. I would have liked a little bit more of the effects of how this, like, poverty is starting to affect the town and affect the adults, which then goes on to affect the adults' relationship with the children, and then the children's, like, vice versa kind of thing. Because we do get a shot a little later where Cecil is walking down the street, and we get to see that, like, a lot of the families are arguing and fighting in houses and stuff. I kind of would have liked a little bit more of that. Because I also do like the idea that this is not the classic Children of the Corn story where we're beginning after all the adults have died. I like the idea that this is the build-up towards, you know, because in the original, that's the opening scene.
Yeah, all the adults.
But it's all kind of done in, like, silhouette and stuff. I also don't really like that original movie. I think the sequels are a lot more fun. The original is actually kind of boring. We do get, like, a lot of iconic shit from it, though. Outlander and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, this movie just... I feel like they had a completed movie and then they just took too much out. You know, because it feels like there are scenes that are just completely missing from this movie. Yeah. Like the drama between the mom and dad, and like a lot more shit to go on with the kids. Even that kid at the start. It's like, well, what the fuck was the crack with him? Was he, like, supposed to be the original leader? You know, and then he just killed himself because he killed a bunch of kids and shit like that as well. So it was like, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah, so this is where, like, this is where I started to think where the cuts, the chopping, editing, and all of this were just sort of so blasé about it, because I guarantee you the shift was over halfway into this editing process. They were like, yeah, we'll pick it up tomorrow. And they just started editing it at a completely different pace in the movie. And then that shift ended, and then the next shift started, and they started right in the middle of the film, and then this, and then that. Because some of these conversations that happen are so jilted and so choppy and, like, just bad script writing.
Yeah, like, there's a cut of this movie somewhere out there that exists that is good.
That is probably better.
Or so better. Like, yeah, maybe not good, but better.
Like, these jilted conversations between the kids feel so forced.
Yeah.
So forced. Like, the opening between the brother and sister, the one between, you know, the sister and her, like, possible boyfriend in some way, you know, the guy that's like, and then, like, and then he starts talking about the sort of fact that his dad beats him up, and then he just covers the bruise, and then he goes, I just walked into my father's fist.
And I guess my accident was becoming between me and my dad and my brother. You know, I hate shit like that.
Oh my god,
it was so heavy-handed.
So heavy-handed, and so, like, we get it. You're like, you're practically winking at the camera, like, this is what is happening. Do you know what I'm saying?
Here's my black eye.
While I'm trying to tell you it's not abuse.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just so awkward. And this like, so the sort of crux of a wedge between the brother and sister is the fact that the sister is leaving for college or Boston or whatever, and he's just like, well, fuck you, you're leaving me and I'm being left here alone. And I just literally look at it going, like,
the sentence
fuck
was
you.
so funny. She's like, look, it's just biomedical engineering. You know, it's not a whole lifetime. And I was like, oh my god.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I feel like there's a bunch of lines in this where, like, and pretty much everybody in this movie is an unknown, except for, like, Bruce Spence, who we know from, well, I know from Thunderdome.
I know from, it's some Marvel movie. I have to look it up, but I don't have it on to hand at the moment. But yeah, it's just really, really bad acting, and the script, like, just doesn't give them much to go off of. Like, like the sort of character, like, motivations for these people, because, like, the path that the resentful brother goes down obviously leads him into Eden's.
But he's like bipolar as fuck in this movie,
and it's just so. But it's just not strong enough to create a character or a dynamic of characters that are interesting enough. I just didn't care. Half the time I forgot the brother was even fucking there.
Like, if he became the leader or something like that, I think that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because they, like, he's in it enough to feel important, but then he's kind of just there a lot of the time. And it's like, or if
he's just present in the scene. He's not
active role. Or, like,
active
if he
role.
had killed the parents or something like that. They just didn't give him anything. But they also kind of had him front and center for a lot of the movie, where it was like, okay, like, where's he going to be?
Yeah.
Because we have that kind of relationship in the original where there's Malachi and Isaac, where it's like you kind of get, there's like a weird power struggle where one is doing it just for the power of, like, having influence over the other children, and then one is doing it to actually appease He Who Walks Behind the Rose, who they just call He Who Walks in this movie, which I'm fine with. He Who Walks Behind the Rose is a bit of a mouthful to get out every time you refer to him. But yeah, they just didn't give him enough. And I also kind of didn't get the, like, relationship between the slightly older kids and the kids. Because they were just, like, not being
Do people just forget
harmed.
that there were teens?
But exactly.
Like,
the whole
is
point...
there sort of, like, did Eden come around and goes, like, okay, if they're, like, 18, that's pushing it, kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, did Eden go around saying, like, that's the age that we don't kill them at?
Well, because that is the thing in the Children of the Corn. It's like, once you turn 18, anybody who's over 18, which is weird because 19 still exists, they're, like, out. You know, and then, like, when we get further into the movies, like in the original run of movies,
we find out why.
Exactly, and we kind of get that it's like they are being, or they're, like, basically sacrificing themselves at 18, or, like, when they turn 18. But Bo is not 18 yet. Like, she's 17, so it's like, you're still
on
technically...
the edge of 17.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're still technically a child, and we don't get the ages of the other 3 teenagers that are here, the only other 3 teenagers in the whole town. But, like, because they also kind of let her just walk around and get in the way. Yeah. Like, they don't try and, like, stop her very actively at all, and she's, like, actively working against them while standing right next to them. Yeah. You know, and Eden kind of lets her get away with a lot. It's like, why would you, if your plan was to, like, if you wanted your plan to go all the way through, why would you not kill these people off bat?
Plot armor.
But it's so stupid, because then she just, spoiler alert, she just dies at the end anyway.
Yeah, so it's rather aggravating to see, like, again, this is where the problem where the film can't decide what it wants to be, where they'll go to a certain extent. Like, some of the deaths of the adults and other kids are quite gruesome. Yeah, whereas other, very, very creative, actually. But some other things they're just sort of shying away from, which is sort of just, or it's done off camera or this, and, like, it's just sort of, look, pick a lane. Show me the gore or don't show me the gore.
Give me some kid deaths.
You want a certain age? All right, go for it. But, like, don't show me a pastor's eyes getting fucking gouged out. Cool, though. And then don't show me the adults getting buried alive. Like, what does that, like, what does that say about the editors and the writers that are like, oh no,
that's too much.
That's too much.
Especially
but let's just actively strangle the pastor and, like, get a fucking massive, what is it, corn scythe thing, and just rip out his eyes and have the 10-year-old, like, squeeze the jelly out of the eyes. Oh yeah, that's fine though. Yeah. You know, like, what the fuck, you know?
It was a bit much and then not enough.
Yeah, you know? Exactly.
You know, to me, if I was to rewrite this, I would have liked a little bit more of, like, a... Like, even though I don't like the Purge movies, borderline the Purge where it's kids versus adults for a little while. Because the adults are all just done away with in, like, one scene. And it's like, I would have liked a little bit more of, like, the kids kind of, like like 30 Days a Night, for example, where it's like all the adults held up somewhere and there's a little bit of a fight between them too.
A struggle,
because the adults are all just done away with so quickly and so easily. I feel like the point of a Children of the Corn is that, yeah, you probably could take on 1, maybe 3 kids by yourself, but the point is that there's like all of them in the town against you.
Yeah.
I would have liked a little bit more of a fight between the adults and stuff. Maybe have some kids die or something. But like, there's just kind of none of that. And like, I feel like the appeal of the original one. Obviously, I'm going to keep going back to that because it's the one.
I always now just to like premise that sometimes I don't like making comparisons because sometimes it's kind of unfair to do it. But in this case, we are right. The irony is that the original is a better adaptation of the short story than this, which is almost kind of rewriting the short story.
Like, Stephen King has no attachment to this. His name isn't even on it. You know? There's the very basic premise that there's children who worship corn. That's kind of it. Yeah. So, like, I feel like I would have liked a little bit more of what we got in the original of, like, Linda Hamilton and whoever her fellow was just kind of going about the town and it's already taken over by children. Like, that movie is a survival movie. Yeah. And it's Children of the Monsters. But with this, it's kind of just Eden. Like, the other kids don't even really do anything. They're just there. Yeah. You know?
I sort of have this problem at multiple points throughout the film where it just doesn't work. There's just sort of like, show me everything, commit to doing what you want to do, what you had the original vision for, or just you shouldn't have touched it in the first place. Yeah. Like, because like, I would have much preferred just being happy going through the original Children of the Corn, or indeed just reading the original short story, than whatever waffle this was.
Now, it would have been a third remake, though. Yeah. Or like a third adaptation, because we've already gotten a straight-up remake of the original movie, which was an adaptation of the short story. And then this, which I kind of... Because it's not in... Oh, fuck. Where's the original town?
My straight answer was like somewhere like Nebraska.
No, it is, but it's
Nevada or some shit.
It's gonna piss me off because this is like Renton or something like that. The original town is. Oh, this is gonna piss me off so much. Hold on.
While you're trying to find that out,
Gatlin,
Maryland.
I think Nebraska.
Nebraska.
But it's like, what the fuck is this?
Like, you and I.
But like, where does this fit in anywhere? You know, because she's Eden. It's like there's plenty of other people like us out there and stuff. And I'm like,
no, there isn't.
But I almost kind of would have liked it to not just be a small town thing. I almost would have liked them to have expanded it more or to make it bigger because it's like It's not really that threatening when you can just leave the town.
Yeah, like, can you imagine somewhere like, I don't know, New York City, where suddenly it's just overrun
Urban
by,
Harvest.
like, corn.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like these monsters are everywhere and blah, blah, blah. Like, that would be a really fucking cool idea. Yeah. But there was no commitment to it. There's no vision. There was no fire, no passion, no nothing.
Because when they zoom out, it's just a little town.
It's tiny.
It's a town that's probably smaller than Maynooth.
It's like one street long, and there's an offshoot that the exit is on, and then an entrance, and fields surrounding it, and that's it.
You know,
that's
it's like
literally
just go somewhere. Literally just leave.
So, like, can we talk real quick about He Who Walks Behind the Rose?
I like the design. I like actually personifying He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Just because I think you kind of have to. I think it's the Blair Witch thing that it's like, look, you can only infer a creature so much before you have to give us some sort of representation.
Yes.
And, like, this is kind of what I imagined. Is
like just made up of stalks of corn,
and it's creepy. It is a creepy design. I like the idea of this, like, you know what, the way when it moves through all the corn kind of gets really stiff and like rattles almost. Yeah, I thought that was creepy as fuck. You know, it was kind of like, what am I looking at? Yeah, you know, but I don't know. I kind of wish this had been the primary antagonist the whole movie, or had been only at the very end.
A reveal.
But it's the fact that it's like kind of just in the background. And it's like, well, then what? Or like, when did this thing get here? Is it because of the gross synth? Or has this thing always been here and this just is like taking revenge because the gross synth is destroying the corn? Or was the gross synth responsible for this creature? Or what, or has, like, does this town have a history of this kind of thing? But I don't know. I don't know. And they really only used it in, like, 2 scenes. And it was, like, done away with like that.
Yeah. So, like, my issue with this was, I think I said this even to you, is, like, from the original short story and into the original film adaptation, Isaac is convinced that this He Who Walks is real.
Yeah.
Right? He's convinced. We have no physical representation on screen up until the inference toward the end.
Which is so funny looking.
Yeah. And we do have, which I think is very creepy, is that corn representation kind of marker thing. Yeah. That was sort of very creepy in a sense. Yeah. And like, I love the fact that it's inferred right up until closer towards where the kids sort of turn on him. Towards the end, where he sort of loses his faith, and then he's like, oh fuck, you know, maybe they are right, maybe He Who Walks doesn't exist and it's all in my head. And then you obviously find out that it's real. That is much more of a stronger story beat to have for Eden than straight up just being like, oh, quite literally within the first 10 minutes we see the figure because Bo is like staring into the corn,
just strolling,
and he's just like, He Who Walks is quite literally just standing there. Exactly. Yeah, you know? He's quite literally there. I screenshotted it, and I was just like, and I looked at it and I moved in, and I was like, that's a face literally right there. And she's just looking at it, and then she's like, and walks away. Like, it was very anticlimactic once you do get the reveal that this thing is actually real. Because like, it's inferred in several scenes that he is real. Like when Eden goes to have that sort of moment.
That stalk of corn.
Like it's when Eden goes to, which I love. There's a lovely shot of an overhead of it, just kind of overcasts over her as she walks into the corn.
I noticed that as well.
And it was a
really gorgeous,
beautiful shot. And she kneels down.
In the jungle or something.
Exactly.
You know?
She kneels down and she begins to cry because obviously, like, she's alone. She's like, there's nothing. There's nobody around to take care of her.
And they're kind of right, the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I do agree with their sentiment. I don't agree with them killing.
They're being let go and things like that. But like, and then obviously you get that fucking massive stalk hand thing that goes to,
which is cool,
reach out
because
for her.
Got, like, it's not like a hand. Well, it is. It's like a hand, but it's got like 7 fingers on it. It's all kind of like gnarled, and I don't know. I thought the design was pretty cool. Yeah. Well, I almost kind of wish they had gone with like almost a borderline Wicker Man sort of thing for this, where it's like either totally isolated, like where people are, or go back in time, like rather than have it being modern. You know, where people can just call, because they just call the reporter to be like, come on over. And
then she's totally forgotten about for about 25 minutes of the film, and then what big reveal, we forgot that we had her in the script, and then she just shows up again.
Like, if this had been in like American plantations, or like actually back in the day, like 1700s or something like that, I think that could have been kind of cool, because they refer to the Salem witch trials in this movie a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that would have been a great aspect. We were even talking about that earlier on the phone.
Yeah.
Is the fact that like Bo is kind of talking about like, oh, they've had too much rotten corn, or they've had too much, they're inhaling too much spores or whatever like that. I'm like, that could have been a great aspect, because if the farmers aren't fucking with it, the farmers aren't going to be in the field, they're just letting it all die, but it's the children that are in the corn. You know, if the children were having some kind of big hallucination, or if Eden was kind of like fueling them that way, I thought that would have been a way cooler idea.
Like, that's exactly it. It was like, was that, the question is whether it was there all the time, or whether it was an hallucinogen, or whether it was physically there as a monster that grew as a mutation, or things like that. The genuine question is, first of all, it's just never answered. Second of all, when it comes to the hallucination thing, that's much more of an interesting way to go, because you can still introduce the idea of what Isaac was, which was, I'm murdering all of you because this hallucination is telling me to, and then Isaac dies realizing that it's not real.
Well, where it's like, these chicks aren't witches, they're just
high.
You know?
Well, it's the same thing with that Dance Fever, hey Varg, that great dancing plague of like I think it was like the 1500s, 1600s, where everyone just suddenly like started, well, because essentially they were just going high off of LSD, and it was basically because of rotten corn and rotten vegetables and bread and mold and shit, and it was just causing them to hallucinate, and they ended up dancing until they died. So it can be interpreted as the same sort of situation where this is, whether it's done naturally in the corn or whether it's because this, what was the chemical term that they used?
Gross synth.
Like that was the cause of it, but it's just never explained by the end of it, so it didn't matter in the first place.
My kind of takeaway from it is that the grow synth was supposed to help like grow more corn and grow corn quicker.
Also, did they never hear of crop rotation?
But I think that the grow synth made it die. I think the grow synth fucked up the soil. So I think the grow synth is kind of separate from He Who Walks.
But it's also irrelevant.
It's not really, because it's like, it's the reason why I think this thing is manifesting in the way that it does, to be like, what the fuck, you guys, like, you're gonna fucking kill me. But I do think it would have been much more interesting to go and set this in a time where there is no tech, and it's literally like Salem witch trials or Salem era, where it's kind of like,
they don't have to explain it.
Are they going crazy? Are they hallucinating? Is it really here? Is it witchcraft?
Yeah.
Because in the original story and in the movies, it's kind of inferred that like Native American people are aware of this thing and kind of avoid this area, or like whatever it is, you know. I would have liked something a little bit more like that. But I think something like this, setting it in modern times, kind of like makes me be like, why would y'all not just like call for help? Like, I know they fucked up the phone tower, but like, go to the next
every
town.
Single person, every adult in that village has a car.
And go to the... Exactly! She's like, a
Literally
car! And
leave.
It's like, you're in a town. This is not like the last movie or like the first movie where like the town is abandoned and there's nothing and everything's destroyed. It's like, it's still a fully intact town.
Yeah.
It only went to shit like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Why y'all wouldn't just get in a car and go somewhere? Especially because of how lax Eden is. It's like, she's really not trying to stop you.
No, she's like, I tend to think, this is where I have a problem.
To kick your little 10-year-old jaw.
Oh my god, I would drop kick that bitch into next week.
Because I get the sense that those kids are afraid of Eden too. Because when He Who Walks comes and gets the reporter, they're all terrified.
Yeah.
Like, they're all backing away.
And Eden's the only one that's smiling.
And I don't think any of them have seen He Who Walks until then. And they're all like, oh! It's just, they're all so quick to be like, yeah, sure, we'll kill all of our parents.
Well, speaking of Eden, if I may interject my opinion on this one, Isaac as a villain, Malachi as
creepy.
a villain, perfect casting. First of all, the actor was amazing.
Because he was a
almost almost a Joffrey-esque villain.
He was just this like. He looked like unnatural because because he had like the kind of mannerisms and kind of face of a grown-up, but looked so much like a child. So you kind of got the sense that he was like,
because he's the son of a preacher. He's the preacher's kid, and he's much more into the sort of esoteric of it all. Whereas Eden,
hellfire and stuff.
The fact that they called her Eden, Jesus.
Okay, but I kind of would have preferred more of that. Well, we actually completely removed the religious aspect from this movie.
True, but it's not like, I think this is a thing where, again, the whole point of it was religious fanaticism, which was the point of the story in the beginning, and how bad and how evil it can lead to. Yeah, and once you remove that aspect, you kind of just have a shitty film that doesn't have a message in it. And Eden as a villain. Was first of all, she's passive. She's a passive villain, which means she passes.
Coin passing.
She's a passive villain, which means she's not very evil or makes you angry.
Yeah, like,
for
she doesn't really
reasons.
carry the story on.
Exactly.
Much.
So by the time she actually starts becoming cocky and like blah blah blah, you're just like, shut up,
you little bitch.
Yeah, like, it's straight up just like, you're making me angry, but not for the reasons that the film wants me to be angry.
Yeah, like, you're just irritating me.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of wish she did have a Malachi sort of counterpart in this movie. Yeah. Because Courtney Gaines in that original movie is scary, because I feel like he actually could fuck me up. Versus,
absolutely.
Versus, like, any of the other ones. Just, like, the big, like, the teeth that are just too big for his mouth, you know,
Yeah.
and like how aggressive he is with like Linda Hamilton on that movie.
Yeah.
He's like squeezing the fuck out of her face.
I forgot Linda Hamilton was in that movie.
But like, I don't know. It's just I feel like you need that power play in Children of the Corn story.
Yeah.
You need somebody who's slightly older.
Yes, you do.
Because even with the brother, he's kind of ambiguously aged, where it's like, so he's at least under 17, but he's at least older than Eden. Like, where is he?
Yeah.
You know, I wish there was kind of a little bit more infighting with the children. Because all the children in this movie, are, like you said, are so passive.
Yeah.
None of them really do anything. They're all kind of just there, except for the digger scene.
Yeah,
Like, that's the most any of them do.
The problem that I had with the rest of the children were exactly that, was they were extremely passive in what they were doing. Half the time, so you know the scenes where Isaac is trying to convert the kids into joining He Who Walks.
Well, yeah, because they're not all part of it at the movie.
Exactly, and
I think it's little Rachel. Or
there
something
is
like that.
sort of a schism between different ranks of it, and like that's what made it more interesting, because half the kids turn on him in the end. So like the fact that none of the kids, even like the actual conversion scenes where she's preaching and things like that, are all just done to background music. You don't hear what she's saying. You don't see the kids' reactions. You just see them immediately picking up knives and
I thought one of them was
pitchforks
really
and
cool,
shit.
where she actually does convert the brother. I thought that imagery was gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that was fine. That's
like
good
the
storytelling.
The little witchy circle in the middle of the corn, and like the lighting and stuff, I thought was cool. Now I will say this movie looks good. It's shot nicely. Like there's a lot of like kind of cool like exposition shots of the corn, and kind of like a bit. Excuse me.
Could you try not to
Kind
sound
of
so
like-
Canadian? You've
kind of
universal
like,
healthcare. I'm like, shut up.
Kind of like nice aerial shots and stuff to kind of establish like,
Yeah.
the area. And even at the end, where all the corn is on fire, I thought all of that was pretty gorgeous.
Which totally comes out of nowhere.
It was set up from the first scene, though, where it fucking was, because when they're
More or
smashing,
less.
not really, when they're smashing up that car, they like fuck up the fuel tank, and it's leaking from the day before all this goes down, and it's by the corn silo where everything is. So like we knew that was going to happen, you know. But yeah, one thing I was kind of hoping for some reason, I always love shots like this. People being chased, like a kind of Lost World, kind of don't go in the long grass kind of thing, where we get to see just grass being bent in a certain, like chasing after somebody, or if we had seen He Who Walks kind of like from an exterior shot, from like a high up kind of shot, see him kind of running through the thing, chasing after somebody. I feel like that could have been well more utilized, because like corn is creepy, you know, like from Signs and Jeepers Creepers 2, all that kind of stuff. That imagery really does freak me out, because it's like it kind of goes on forever.
Yeah, it
and
gives
you can't see more than like a couple of inches in front of you walking through corn, and corn stalks are sharp.
Yeah,
they will cut you.
They will cut a bitch.
It's like you'll get fucked up running through a cornfield.
Well, it definitely does feel like they are ominous, because they are quite all-encompassing. They are quite they're tall, it's intimidating and things like that, and they're mysterious. The fact that you can't see very far, the repetition of it all that kind of thing, and it can go on
a lot of
for
good stuff from
acres.
The Tall Grass. Also a Stephen King adaptation, where that literally goes on forever and ever. I would have loved something.
They don't let you leave.
I would have loved a little bit more of that kind of influence in this, you know.
Well, you know what I didn't love was this fucking town meeting scene. I felt like I was high watching this, or that I needed to get high watching
They'll
this.
just point and laugh at the kids.
Like,
You're just a little stupid kid.
Like, what is this scene?
What's that line
Bro.
in Dr. Sleep? You're just a fucking child. Now, this is where it does kind of pop off, and she does straight up become Greta Thunberg, where she's kind of just like...
I literally...
We haven't voted also!
I literally...
And like, I like Greta Thunberg, but like, even like the imagery of like the plots, it's really, they really are pushing that,
she's
you know?
giving Greta Thunberg. I was like, this town meeting is a shambles. So farmers are being told how to farm by the government.
No,
a
they're being told
14-year-old
not to farm.
thinking she knows more than ones who have worked, lived, years of experience.
But they fucked it all up, though.
And to top it off, some guy goes, the corn economy can kiss my ass.
Well, no, I do kind of disagree with some of that, because, like, they obviously do know how to farm, but they were paid to use grow synth, or they were told they would earn a lot more money using grow synth, and it fucked up the soil, not the corn itself. Like, the soil got fucked up, which then in turn fucked up the corn, but not the grow synth fucking up the corn. And
which
like,
may or may not have created He Who Walks.
And then they've been subsidized, where it's like, look, and this does happen, like, a lot, where it's like farmers are paid not to grow corn.
Yes.
You know, because it's, I don't know.
It's common sense. We in Ireland have been doing this for hundreds of years now, where we have rotated crops, because it's thing. You use the soil again and again and again and again. It's going to lose all of its nutrients, all of them.
Yeah.
So you rotate your crops every 2 to 3 years.
Let her heal up.
Exactly. Let the nutrients in the soil regrow, shall I say? And be able to plant for the following year.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do that for some fucking reason here.
It also is weird, because I get the sense that everybody here is a farmer, but there's only like 3 big fields.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, who's this, what? You know, it also to me didn't seem like there was enough parents for the amount of kids that were here.
Yeah, I get the feeling that there's like...
Because I was like,
10...
I was like, who's her dad? Or
like,
who does she live with?
8 or 9 couples who have kids.
At max.
That's
nearly
it.
all
like,
of the people in there were dudes.
Yeah.
Now, I was kind of looking around. This dad looks like somebody drew Patrick Wilson from memory. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, or, you know, have you ever done oh shit, you know when you draw, like, oh, I'll draw the first half of this person, and then we'll fold the sheet over, and then you draw like the torso, and then we fold it over and you draw the legs. This is what this dude's face looks like.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like he's missing pieces of his skull. Like I said to you earlier on the phone, that it looks like he is a corn cob with a sheet of skin pulled over top. Like, this man is made out of corn, you know, on the inside. But this dad is, he also has the smallest mouth I've ever seen. It's so tiny.
So strange.
But
one eye looking at you, one eye looking for you.
For real though, it's really fucking weird. And now his relationship with Bo and stuff like that is kind of like who is he? Is he the mayor?
I don't know.
Everybody is listening to him.
Maybe he's the community leader. I don't fucking know, man.
Because we have the sheriff, who is Human Sheriff of the Week, by the way.
Okay, all right.
He's also like, I did not have many options.
Uh-huh.
It was either a bunch of children or this corn with hair. You know, he was kind of giving a Burt Reynolds type of effect. It was him or fucking Bruce Spence. Ugh.
Now listen, I am deeply indebted to Bruce Spence as a character, you know, actor. He's really good. I enjoy any role that he's in.
The accent is great in this movie.
He's the nutty gyrocopter from Mad Max.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so much fucking fun.
A human kangaroo.
You know, he's brilliant. And that accent, he tries so hard to hide his Australian accent.
I actually thought it was pretty good in this.
Oh, it was... I mean...
I will say, during this scene, for some reason, I didn't mind Bo's actress so much, but then in this, I was like, what in the fucking High School Musical is... Because she came in and she was like, guys, like, we can do this.
Oh,
you know, like, it's
so
not too
stupid.
late. Dad, you can make a choice. You know, it was so melodramatic, and it was so much. And it was like, go home.
Go home. Your voice
vote.
means fucking nothing. Fuck off.
I do kind of wish that we had gotten maybe like a couple of in-house conversations between children and their parents, and then it all came to
that
head.
Makes sense,
versus
because
it being like,
them being
us children
influenced.
are a separate community here, and you're fucking us over too. Because none of the other kids even talk in this movie. It's literally just Eden. You know, even what was his fucking name, Castor or whatever like that, his younger brother is there, and we kind of get the sense that he's Eden's like right hand man, kind of, because he's always with her. He's the one with the bow and arrow. He's spoken to directly several times in this movie, and he just doesn't say anything. You know, this movie had such potential, because Children of the Corn, the original short story, is creepy as fuck, and it shouldn't be, because it's such a again, forgive the pun, it's such a corny idea. Like, it's so cheesy and it should be bad, but it's really good.
Yeah.
You know, that opening scene in the novel, or in the short story, where a kid is running through the corn, he's being chased, again, kind of showing, like, the schism between factions
Malachi
of
and
kids.
Isaacs, yeah.
This kid gets his throat slashed and he's thrown out in front of the car.
Yeah.
And they think that they've killed him. I would have liked a little more of that, maybe. Or if this had been the movie to lead up to what we then know to be the Children of the Corn story.
Yeah.
If this is what leads up to all the adults dying, if the end of the movie is all the adults dying, and then we go on to have what we know as Children of the Corn, I think that could have worked much more. But, like, I don't know. I think this movie just really, like, it just fell flat.
Yeah, it's just...
Thanks, Shudder.
It's just, it didn't really do well. Like, but the one thing that I just thought really was funny, I thought I was high or drunk when I was watching it. I was like, why are these adults maniacally laughing and making fun of these
Pointing
kids?
and laughing.
Like, what the fuck is
And he's
this?
like, Jesus, wait till you get home. Why, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, or whatever.
Like, and he says that openly in front of everyone.
And everybody's just like...
like, what the fuck is...
So, as you do, you walk, you find all the children in the town all hanging out, and
As one does.
Gutted a pig. And so, what we didn't mention at the start was, after we see Ian's brother die,
yeah.
I guess.
It is rather confusing.
He's like the original child of the corn in this movie.
Yes.
And then it passes on to her or whatever. And she's adopted by Bruce Spence, Pastor
Phelps.
whatever. Yeah.
God hates fags.
But
Period.
God hates figs. But yeah, so she kind of sees herself as the Queen of Hearts, which I actually think, or the Red Queen. Is it the Queen of Hearts or the Red Queen?
She calls it the Red Queen.
That's Resident Evil, though.
I know, she calls it the Red Queen. She doesn't say Queen of Hearts, she says the Red Queen the whole
But even
time.
the Red Queen is supposed to be like... Whatever. So she sees herself as kind of that... So when she rocks up in her first scene after all this, she's wearing a little, like, Raggedy Ann red wig, and I kind of was like, please tell me that's a wig. Because I was like, what's with the wig? And I was like, oh, okay.
What kind of shake and go?
Because they have her braids just sticking at the back of it, like. But so she's kind of set herself up as this, but again, they don't lean into that enough. I wish they had like really like gone into that, you know. Or like had some kind of allegory between that a little bit more, like off with their heads or something like that. Like there's a lot of imagery you could have played with there, you know. So they're painting so they dug this trench that has been kind of sanctioned by the government, where they're that's not big enough to fit all the corn in the town in, by the way. So they're gonna throw all the corn in there, but it's left all these like exposed roots, right? And all the kids are just painting the roots red, which is kind of cool imagery, like the Red Queen painting all her roses red, that kind of thing. But like Bo just rocks up just randomly. She's just randomly walking through the cornfields and just happens upon this, and she's like, oh hey Eden, what's going on? Doing some painting there, are you?
I see. And she's just like, yeah, gotta feed the corn somehow.
She's like,
and Bo is just like,
of course.
Oh yeah,
no, definitely.
Yeah.
I say the same thing all the time.
She's like, yep, that's
so she's
fine.
Like, so all of you little kids and your little army of friends, I want you to go. What was her plan?
So basically what she was trying to do is she get some random reporter off TikTok,
public humiliation,
to come over and like do a story on them, and like which is so funny because like when they did the FaceTime they were like doing like, let's do a selfie with her.
That's what I thought. I thought they were doing like this, and I was like, there's nobody on that call.
It's just so stupid. But yeah, that's the reason. She sends the kids off basically to collect your one, and we all know that's gonna work out well. But like, yeah, just nobody
and to
cares.
Make sure all the parents are in the community center at 10.
Yeah.
But then they leave it until like 25 to 11 to leave their house. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know, but the whole thing was, the reason it all went down the way it did is because you were late. But I'm like, okay, how did the kids in this town get all the parents wrangled up and put in jail?
Yeah.
Show me that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to fucking see.
I do not know. Like, all these kids are either between, 8 years old and about, let's say, 14 and 15.
Max, yeah.
Like, at most. I was like, there is a good 10 to 15 grown-ass men in that cell. You're telling me they, in their infinite fucking experience and wisdom being farmers, couldn't just shove a 15-year-old down to the ground?
Showing.
Like, yeah, I know.
They're
Do you know what I mean?
infinite
Like,
wisdom farmers,
just
yeah.
look at that and be like, you're telling me a bunch of
I'm about to beat them up. little
I
kids.
absolutely beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking? Like, I mean, are you for real?
They're all handcuffed and they're all in jail. And then
this moody brother is pissing me off.
Because he doesn't speak again for the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
Actually,
he just gives like side eye looks most of the time, and I'm like, your presence is so irritating.
Like,
I literally
bitch.
want you to shut up, get a fucking job, or get a hobby.
You're a bitch.
Like you're acting like a little cunt. Oh, your sister is moving. Get fucked, lad. That's not strong enough
for like
me.
the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and then he gives that weird look at the end. It was like, oh, everything's fine now.
Yeah, I guess
do you know what I mean?
Forget the fact that you killed our parents.
Yeah, exactly.
And my friends, and literally everybody else but me in the town. It's totally normal and fine. And like, what the fuck? Where are all the children at the end of this movie? Because Eden, quote unquote, dies.
Yeah.
But nothing ever really dies in the coin, bro. Fuck this movie, bro. But like, is their mom a sex worker?
Yes, that's another plot line that was like...
Because she's leaning in the car, which is the prostitute lean.
Yeah.
And we don't get to see who the dude is.
Drives off in the car with them.
We never get to see who the guy is. We never get to hear the mother speak.
Yeah.
But when they come around that corner...
It's heavily insinuated.
When they come around the corner, they're like, it's mom. As if they haven't seen her in years.
Yeah.
But then, when they tie up the dad with...
The mom is in the bed sleeping.
She's just right there, also fully clothed. And the dad is also wearing shoes in bed. And they wake the dad up, and the dad's like, ugh, and they're like, okay, just come quietly. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just being kidnapped, you know?
Yeah.
They pull out this ream of fucking, like, metal wire under the bed, totally normal to have in a 15-year-old's room. Mm-hmm. And they just, it just makes no sense. And they drive down to the community center, and they find Castiglione, whatever, that fucking... her boyfriend or whatever, her like ex-friend or whatever, they find him strung up by Eden's horse, and then she makes the horse walk forward and it hangs the dad, which again is kind of cool.
It's a cool idea.
Done with a lot more of that.
Yeah,
you know, for how many deaths there is in this, they don't show a lot of them, you know, and then they take like 98% of the parents and bury them alive. Yeah. And then they keep like 3 alive and then just send them out into the corn. Yeah. And we only ever get to see one of the bodies. It's just
again, it's one of those things where like either you're going to commit to it or don't commit to it. Like, because the kid who's getting beat up by his dad, who just got strung up, which was a fabulous way of dying. The strangling was fabulous. But the scene,
he gets pulled up like through the ceiling and everything, so they can't get to him.
I love it.
It is cool.
But like the scene where that kid dies, he basically like gets a belt from underneath and then a belt to the face, directly into the face.
It was cool.
And he loses like a chunk of his jaw.
The effect was nice.
Excellent.
Like the effect of his face in the ground is pretty cool. Now I thought they were going to have a thing that he wasn't really dead or something like that, because there's a body covered up at some point that's kind of moving around, but then it's like nothing goes, like that doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, at all.
Also, the other thing that doesn't go anywhere: how the fuck are these kids like wielding chainsaws, parading some parents through the town, and in the background cars are on fire, places are blowing up? Like, what the actual fuck is happening in this town for that to go off? Like, there's just not enough kids. Like, if that's all the kids in the police station, there's no way.
There's maybe 30 kids there.
Like, there's exactly. There's no fucking way. There's no way.
No.
Like, you're joking me at this point that like this is not a small army this is just a bunch of like 10 to 15-year-olds.
Yeah, it's not cute.
Like, you're not
not
fooling
cool.
me.
Yeah.
Like, because like in the original, especially with the original film,
It's
they
a
pulled it
whole
off
town of
really
kids.
well.
Yeah.
It was a whole fucking tribe
And there's some
of
older
fucking
kids
delinquents. Yeah,
as well.
and
with
even
this,
the
they're all, like-
teenagers
they're
were
all,
into
like,
it.
children.
Yeah,
You know?
you just can't. You can't justify how all of this works. You know?
No, and I mean, the part that we were kind of praising earlier on the phone before I came up here was like, so all the parents wake up in this pit. Actually, no, they first get like gassed by hallucin, whatever the fuck it is, whatever this gas is. I think it's the gross synth stuff, which is what they killed Eden's older brother with at the start of the movie, and also killed a bunch of children. Which again, that doesn't go anywhere. They gassed them all, and this is where Human Chair of the Week comes in. My very kind of Burt Reynolds adjacent sheriff, who's he's so gorgeous. It's because he's got a big fat mustache. He's still kind of fit, you know. He's in his pajamas, but also a 10-gallon hat at the same time. He woke up in that 10-gallon hat, you know. But then they all get gassed, and then they wake up in this pit or this quote unquote trench, which is like small for a swimming pool, you know. They get put in this thing, and then they're all starting to get buried alive. But I'm like, it's maybe 3 foot deep.
Yeah,
The parents aren't even trying to get out.
Yeah, they're just sort of clawing at the dirt around them rather than actually doing anything. And also, those kind of trenches, they're going to be high on one side, but very low on the other. And it's going to be it's not, you could just literally walk out,
Like, all the
take
kids
one
were in it
bent
earlier.
knee and walk out. All the kids were in it earlier. It's just, like, make it make sense.
It's
You know,
also-
here's the Venn diagram of the making sense.
You're over
Here's
there.
the Venn diagram of that. Make them make sense.
Never twain the two shall meet.
There's no diamond shape in the middle where they meet.
No, it's such bullshit. Because, like, also this pit...
Did I
it's
think the
all
kill
just-
was cool?
It was
Yes.
cool, because you never really get to see a mass live burial.
Yeah.
But, like...
God, do you remember the days when you could see those things?
Oh, the Celtic Tiger was mad, wasn't it? Yeah. When I was younger, I thought the Celtic Tiger was like a myth. Like the Salmon of Knowledge.
Really?
I was a child.
Oh, darling.
But does it not sound like that, though?
The Celtic Tiger?
Yeah. I did
No.
not... Okay, I wasn't
just
thinking
knew
about
it
fucking
was a money thing.
socioeconomic thing. Yeah, but you were also, like, a grown-up then. I was literally a child. And I still am. I still haven't grown out of that.
Yeah. Look at you. Yeah.
I know, look at me. Resplendent and pimp. You know, not a wrinkle to boot, not even behind my knee. But,
While I simultaneously hear the crack.
you know, but, oh,
A
wait,
26-year-old.
wait.
Oh,
that was a good
that sounded good.
Oh,
Oh,
I love it.
Oh,
I
I love
love
that.
to be young.
Someone in our YouTube viewership was will just inwardly cringe at that, and then others will just be like, "Oh yeah."
Ooh,
Hold on,
that's
wait.
the knuckles.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
Oh, we're way.
Oh no, I can't get the name.
Oh, there goes my bottle of water.
Oh,
I didn't spill it all that time.
it's just like the theme song of my friend group now is the sound of cracking bones. And stuff. But the effects were so annoying. It was so unnecessary as well.
All the money went to Hugh
Dust
walks
particle.
behind the rose.
But they would dump all this dirt down, which like looked effective.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't look crazy.
And it was just soft cuts between that and like hands trying to claw
Which
out
I
of the
enjoyed,
dirt.
you know?
And that's very visually appealing.
Then
It
they would
does
have,
well.
like fake like
Dust
After
clouds.
Effects dust clouds, and it's like, but it's dry dirt, or it's
You're gonna
not,
get
it's-
it just
it's
by
like,
filming it.
But it's like earth. It's like
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be dusty.
Yeah.
You know, and we keep getting this whole thing about her being like about Bo being like, there's dust particles all over the place. If you light me on fire, this whole place will go up. And it's like, none of that came into effect.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
Yeah.
You know, and like I do, like obviously we knew that this place was going to burn to the ground.
Yeah.
Like from the start of the movie, they
Yeah,
set
yeah,
that up a lot. But like I was expecting I was
yeah.
expecting like fields of fire.
Yeah.
Because we get to see a couple of stalks on fire,
And
then
you
at
get
the
to see
end,
that
where there's
really
nothing.
crappy CGI explosion of the silo.
It was terrible.
The grain silo thing.
No, my going theory for
Awful.
this is that like somebody had an uncle who was like, okay, I'm about to like harvest for the summer or harvest for the winter or whatever. You can film in my fields for the couple of weeks before I harvest,
Yeah.
and then you can get the end shot when I've plowed everything down.
Uh-huh.
Because that's totally what happened.
Yeah.
Like
They worked
field
around
is
it.
empty. It's not like full of scorched corn. It's full of like that would smell so good.
Scorched corn.
You love this.
It smells like maybe like the Guinness factory.
Oh
after,
no!
like, they done it.
I was in a chorus by the Guinness factory on Thomas Street, and every day I had to go up there. It smelled like hot Weetabix. Disgusting.
Me myself, I kind of like that.
The smell of hot oats.
Well, only like as I'm passing it, not when I have to sit there and have it sit under my nose all the time.
No, I hated it so
God
much.
damn.
The amount of tourist photos, because my shortcut would be, I would get off the bus, walk up the back of the Guinness factory, like where the entrance is, like to go in. The amount of tourist photos I'm in the back of, because that place 8 a.m. is filled.
Oh, we're not
with
talking
Americans.
about the film anymore.
Isn't it fun? Are you enjoying yourself much more? You know, but like it's just the amount of Americans that would be there, just tourists, and I'm just fully. Again, Bela Lugosi's dead in headphones, giant black trench coat, just in the back of this fucking photo.
David Bowie straight in. Yeah.
Exactly, every fucking day, you know. But I'd so much rather talk about anything other than this movie.
Well, here's another janky, fucking terrible script line for you. Is when Bo's dad, whatever his name is, insert actor's name here.
Patrick Wilson, drawn from memory.
Exactly.
Somebody who met Patrick Wilson once had to draw a police sketch of him. You know?
You know, he's forced to go into the corn, obviously, to like run or whatever. And
him and two other dudes who are never seen again.
Never seen again. And she does this thing where he's like, you need to fight. You need to do the blah, blah.
I'll go
and she
fight,
does this thing where she goes, it's obviously like she's saying in her head, she's like, okay, Dad, I will fight.
It's so
and I'm just
Disney
like,
Channel.
oh, this is just like, oh, yeah, it's like Disney Channel does
I will
horror.
win that double Dutch competition because you told me to fight. You know what I mean? The ghost of my dad helped me pass the spelling bee or whatever.
Like, whatever. And also, like, alright, Greta Thunberg, how dare you?
How dare you?
It's like, you have stolen my dreams.
Isn't she like 19 now?
Isn't she like 100?
Like the appeal of her.
She's like 100.
Now she's not a child activist. Now you're
She
just
looks
an activist.
so confused when the reporter shows up, right? She's like, so we should just cut off her head, right? Did you ever see that?
It's
like
so
that moment was like, she goes like, she's like, you were going to use this one, like, how dare you? And then she goes, so she almost like does this thing where it's as if she's looking for the rest of them to be like, should we do this? And she's like, so we should cut off her head, right?
But see, that's the kind
Like,
of Red Queen thing
okay.
for me. Is to like off with our head.
Yeah.
We should have gotten at least one kill like that. But then Bo is just like, no, I'll take her and I'll feed her to the corn. And they're all just like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
a better
sure.
idea. Let's just do that.
But then they're like, oh wait, but you didn't, and we're gonna go and follow you as well. It makes no fucking sense. Now, I do like, this is actually the only scene I saw from this movie before seeing it. Was the reporter hung up in the barn.
Which I think
it was cool.
Is a cool idea.
I think this should have been the
for a
first
creature
time.
reveal, cool idea.
Exactly, because it kind of gave King Kong, in a way, Fay Ray and King Kong kind of thing. Because we get this, like, because Eden is like then held captive by
like
Bo.
for Fay Ray and King Kong. I don't know why the leg comes up automatically as well.
You're in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for real. Help me, mommy. Yeah, but
help me, mommy.
Oh, God, could you just talk about anything? Yeah. So,
but her teenage friends, Bo's friends, are just like
we're gonna
strung up and crucified.
Well, I actually did kind of like that fact.
I thought it was cool, but also you just look at it and go like, I totally forgot they were in the film.
Because she was like, you guys go to Candlestick the next town over? What the fuck?
But also, like, they don't have enough lines, they don't have any backstory, they don't have any stakes in the film, so as soon as they're off screen, you've forgotten about them.
Well, because it's like, who are their parents?
Yeah, exactly.
Because one of the I forget her name.
She also vouches for the kids in the beginning. She's like, we should listen to them too.
Because they're just standing there, and I was like, I thought they were adults, because they look grown.
Yeah.
They don't look like teenagers. So I was like, okay, it kind of makes, I thought that they were parents.
Yeah.
You know? But then I'll just say the white one, because I don't know her name.
Yeah.
I don't know the black girl's name either. The white one is up like this, and she's like missing limbs, which actually looked pretty cool.
And
the other one has an axe in her
like
face.
through her face,
and
that's so cool.
But she's not strung up, she's kind of just on the wall.
Yeah.
Like she's just kind of like blue tacked up. You know?
That's like her character frame. She was running and then she glitched and now she's up in the ceiling like
Exactly. Like she's really just stuck there. And she kind of has
and the other
Finding Tatum in the
faggot
garage
that's,
kind
like,
of moment where
stuck
she's
up
kind
in
of
the
just
thing.
like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I go,
yeah, she does that whole kind of like, oh, I'm clutching at my pearls moment, like with that. You're just like, oh, this
she's
is
just like
so
the
janky.
classic, like if I hold my hand over my mouth,
I'm showing emotion. Yeah,
it's the Jessica Biel school of acting. The Jessica Biel school of horror acting.
Yeah. I'm much more like the Wayne Bandy school of drag. The more the better. Like, show it off, girl.
Just
you got a laughing bomb. Show it off, girl.
But yeah, for real. So she gets in here and she kind of has Eden by the throat with this like big serrated blade or whatever. And
which is
like,
cool. I'd want that weapon.
She's like, it's not real. Like, none of this is real. And then Eden is kind of like
side eye, like, bitch, what?
And then we get this like, oh, which was cool. I thought that was a cool reveal. You know, but I think this should have been like kind of the climax. Well, like, I mean, it is kind of the start of the climax.
It is not. It's another 40 minutes before it actually gets to me.
Do you know how many times I checked the time on this movie last night? And I really don't do that for movies. But I kind of was like, okay, it's about to end, and it was like, yeah, there's like 45 minutes left of this fucking movie. But the reporter...
That's what I felt about Doom. Was like right after, like, when they...
Lynch or Deneuve?
Deneuve. During, like, the... It's like, so there's like, what is it? After Paul and the Lady Jessica meet the Fremen, you think that's where it's going to end, and then it drags on for another 40 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, back to this.
I feel like that is a big complaint. It's
Shipwreck.
Like that movie definitely felt like a part one.
Yeah, but also like they could have literally just ended it there as a cliffhanger, being like knife to throw with the Fremen,
and then have like that extra 40 minutes be the
beginning of the next
40
one.
minutes of the next.
Yeah,
exactly.
Could have been that, but
I was so
they
excited
didn't.
for the new Doom.
So it looks so fucking good.
But the one thing I will complain about is, again, I'll do anything to avoid this movie. But it's always going to be my complaint with anything Dune, except for David Lynch, because he gave a lot of colour to that movie, is like watching the trailer, I'm like, this is all the same colour. You know? And then we get a black and white version of it at one point in the trailer, and that's kind of it. But whatever. So let's finish talking about this fucking turd.
Anyway, so like, it's a cool reveal. I like the idea that you're watching, and she's purely there as plot armor, that you're watching her face, and you can, almost as if you can feel...
You can. There's like vibration shit. It's good.
Like, on her. And that's a really cool way to do
it.
Yeah, she doesn't see it at all. She's just dragged away and she still doesn't see it.
It is cool. Like, I liked her getting pulled off into the field still screaming.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And so that was the only clip that I had seen from this, and I thought that she was over with. But then Bo finds her later on in the field, where I'm like, what has he been doing with her this whole time? You know, is it an like, Evil Dead kind of moment? Yeah, getting raped by corn. Country girls make do. But yeah, I also liked her kill, though. It was kind of Silent Hill-ish, where Bo finds her, and she goes, oh, a car. And it's like, it's the only one in the town, apparently. Yeah. You know? It's the car. It's the town car. And he, like, picks her up. Now, one thing that it did make me laugh, he picks her up and he kind of goes... Like, he's dusting up. Like, have you ever...
Yeah.
I actually get this from Yemi. When Yemi eats biscuits, she'll bite... Or it's something with crumbs. She'll bite it and she'll go... Like that. Like she's ashing off a cigarette.
Yeah.
Which is a habit I picked up. But he picks her up and he, like... Just shakes the blood off. You know, shaking the excess off as to not make a mess.
But then he just walks away.
It just drops her. Yeah. Or no, he kind of like... Well, which is weird.
Oh, he throws her. He throws her into the corn.
But which is weird is there's a face, kind of, because we know anatomically it's human-shaped. We know where the face is supposed to be. But there's no defined face. It's kind of just a ball at the top. So when Bo gets discovered, he kind of just goes like this. But it doesn't look like he's turned his head to look at her. You know what I mean? Because there's no features in the face. It's not until we see it up close where it all kind of opens and unfurls. We get
Which
to see,
I think that's a cool idea.
It was cool.
I love the fact that the mouth is like almost like a fucking anus. You
it
know?
is though.
Like,
it's
and
kind
it just
of predator-ish.
Like it has those kind of like not tendril things, but like the sort of the
like
hairs of the ears of corn.
Yeah,
you know, it's
the creature
really
design
good.
is actually really cool.
Yeah,
it's a really cool monster design. And then there's all this, like I was saying earlier, corn is sharp. Like it can fuck you up. But, like, yeah, I did like all the kind of the mouth kind of element and the fact that it was like this thing looked menacing, and then whenever it moved through the corn, all the corn kind of stood up straight and then like rattled like a rattlesnake kind of thing. I thought that was really cool and kind of intimidating. But I could have done with more of that, or if we had had more scenes with this thing unseen. Like if it had lingered throughout the movie a little bit more, because we really get the sense that Eden is just the main antagonist and that there isn't really anything in the corn. Because He Who Walks doesn't really come up until like over halfway through the movie, even though all this corn shit has been going on. I feel like that should be the name of this movie, This Corn Shit. You know?
Well, I mean, like, I agree with you. I think the final showdown is basically nothing.
No.
Like it defeats the purpose of the book, which was to prove that Isaac, like, was technically right the whole time, but he had gotten to a point where he had all the power, then he lost it, and then, you know, He Who Walks shows up. But, like, it just defeats that purpose of the wrong, and then, you know, the creature shows up and proves that he was right all along, and that there were, like, that they're fucked, basically, from the beginning, and, like, once they're in the corn, ain't no getting out of it.
Yeah.
So, like, but, like, it takes the mystic aspect from the movie, and turns it into a 20-minute long CGI fight with something that just wears thin rather quickly, unfortunately.
Bo stabs it in the neck, and it's kind of just like, ah! And like runs away.
Yeah.
It was like, and then we don't really see it again.
Yeah,
until
it just
fire.
walks out of the thing
I'm on fire.
Yeah.
You know, and then I do kind of like seeing it like kind of degrade in front of Eden. I thought that was kind of cool. But then like she just walks into the fire with it, which is kind of cool. I kind of like the fact that she's like this like zealot that will follow it because this thing has taken care of her.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It was like, it's understandable why she decides to go back into the flaming corn with it, because like that's the only thing that's actually showed her kindness.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from obviously it asking for sacrifices, but like that's the only element of the town that has shown her thing, which is why obviously she becomes so zealous,
and like it has been there all along. You know, but yeah, do you know what though? Some of the shots were kind of gorgeous at the end. I thought this movie, it looks at its best when it's showing kind of a bigger scale, exactly, to show a lot of that. But then when Eden is, I do like the sense that they had a really old car so that they could have an old school cigarette lighter. Remember those? Did you ever scorch yourself up?
Well, that was actually something that I was watching, that with an intensity of something that was almost akin to like a Quentin Tarantino thing, where like it was just waiting for the other shoe to drop moment.
Yeah.
And you didn't get that.
Cool.
And I think the problem...
We did. But the car didn't blow up.
So, like, no. So, the problem with the ending is that there isn't a threat. That's the first thing that I got from that. These scenes. The sitting in the car scene where she's just like, you know what? You should just give up and, like, die now.
Oh, because like that Eden was in the back the whole time.
Yeah, I wasn't convinced that there was a threat. Because, first of all, she's not backed up by the monster. We know that the monster is running scared just somewhere. He is just lurking about. She's not backed up by the kids because they're literally gone. They fucked off, and during the entire film we weren't shown that they're holding chainsaws and shit, but they haven't done anything. They haven't killed loads of people or this or that. I mean, technically there was one or two kids in the burial thing, but other than that, all the kids are just kind of standing around. They're not actively encouraging the plot to,
and they're not intimidating either.
Exactly.
Like
so that was the thing.
All the rest of the movies, we get to see like a big crowd of kids, or like it looks like a whole town taken over by kids. But with this, it's like this is the same group of kids that we saw just playing at the start. There's really not that many of them.
Yeah, and like it's like therefore no threat is perceivable. So in other words, just nobody cares. Like, just leave. Like, she's not threatening you. She's just sitting there. She has the cattle gun, but you realise that you're 18, she's 10.
Kick her head in.
Kick her fucking teeth in, bro. There's literally nothing stopping you from doing it.
A cattle gun isn't going to kill you unless she puts it through your head.
Exactly. Like, you could literally... It's not a fucking gun.
Exactly.
It's not... Like, she can't just point it at you and it's going to kill you.
No, she had a blade or like a sickle or something.
Yeah.
that would have been more threatening.
Yeah.
But it's like a cattle gun. You can take a cattle gun through the hand.
You can take a cattle gun anywhere and you would be fucking
It's
fine.
only like a couple of inches long.
It's this long.
You know?
You know, and also nobody cares that she dies in the end. Literally nobody.
There's nobody left. Where's her brother?
Exactly. Like,
He doesn't even show up again.
he-
Now, I thought when she was flying through all that corn, I thought she was going to run her brother over or one of the kids over. Because, like, I also had this thought at the start where if they had started to get rid of all the corn, I'm like, all these kids would just be hiding in the corn. Like, would there not be a sense of, like, okay, shit, we can't destroy all the corn, all the kids are in it. You know? So I thought going through all that, she might have killed a kid or her brother or something.
Yeah.
Because even when she finds her dad, she's kind of just like, oh, shit.
Oh, that's another thing that kind of bugged me was the fact that, like, suddenly, like, when the corpse was dead, like, all the things start coming out.
Yeah.
The other thing that was, there was this random jump scare with her brother that involves some girl with a flashlight, and she, like, picks it up, and all of a sudden the thing comes out of her mouth. And I was just like...
I kind of liked that. Not the corn flashy thing, but I kind of liked the Battle Royale kind of
like,
moment.
reference to it?
I thought that was kind of cool, because she sees all the kids walking through the street.
But it's not successful, though.
It's not.
It's
but
not.
I did think that shot was kind of cool, where she kind of just stops and is looking. I'm like, okay, this movie could have a little bit of promise. And then it just... But yeah, like that. We just get this, like... like corn monster thing. And it was like, but that never happens again.
It doesn't cut away from her brother, because her brother just is still standing there. Like, he doesn't
like,
react to it, so, like,
no,
we
they're
don't care either.
Literally both just like, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
And they
It just
do.
doesn't make fucking sense, bro. I don't know.
I do like, at the end of this... Now, see, I thought I thought Bo was gonna, like, take that cigarette lighter and, like, burn her little face or, like, try and, like, defend herself in some way. But there's no fight between any of them.
Yeah, there's no actual
like you said,
physical conflict.
There's no threat.
Yeah.
Like, you get the sense that if the car hadn't have broken down, they would have just let her leave.
Yeah.
You know? But she gets out, she's like, I want to have one last cigarette. She's like, you smoke? You know? And it's like, yeah, it's a bad habit or whatever. And then they get out of the car, and she just, like... What I don't get is the fact that she, like, presses it down like this. It's like, you could have just tossed it. You know? And then I do like the line of fire going through the field. It was kind of pretty.
It was, but, like, it did go on. Like, did you notice, like, the scene just kind of... It was like we were just, like, watching
like
one camera, just literally following it, and you're just like...
Look what we did!
Is it still...
Start lighting on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You know?
also, I don't know how easily, like, fresh corn burns. It's all
It
greenery.
doesn't.
It's not...
strong.
Exactly, like, it's not dead.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the field...
I get the grain part, I get the silo part, that makes
like
sense,
the
because
hay
there's
and all that kind of
also...
stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense, but do you know how fucking long corn would take to burn? It takes a
real,
long
though.
fucking time.
Like, you can blacken corn. Like, that's a thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I do, yeah, I like the sense that, like, the gross synth, like, blew up and all that kind of stuff. But then looking at that overhead shot, I was like, there's only, like, two kind of smallish fires here.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
also...
not enough to burn down the entire town, which is shown after this scene. There's, like, the place is decimated. And apparently, she went home and changed clothes as well after that. I noticed. She had, like, a couple of outfit changes, you know. She did an outfit change to go wander around the corn, but then it's like, where's your brother? Where's the rest of the kids? Because they were all on the road. And I know damn well they didn't all get burned up.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, what's the resolution?
So, like, this is my thing. Like, literally nobody cares at this point. Like that. If Bo was to die in the end, who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares? We just literally do not care about any of these characters because we haven't spent enough time. There's no stakes involved. There's nothing for us to get involved in these characters. Literally nobody, and we all just go back to acting like the other kids didn't just commit murder of their parents in a mass grave.
Exactly, like all these
the
kids
bullshit
would be fucked.
Carrie ending was even worse. And
Now
it was
listen.
a shameful plug, and I was like, no, this is stupid.
I thought she looked kind of cool until
She
we got
did.
to see
I
the
liked
head.
the kind of sunken eye and the empty
The, like,
hollow
layers of
socket
face
there,
and stuff.
and like the fact that she's got a whole Two-Face thing going on.
Yeah, she
there.
would, like, she really looked like a burnt corpse.
Yeah,
But she
yeah.
had, like,
like no skin, where she was kind of just musculature underneath. It was cool.
I loved the emaciated legs. I thought they were kind of cool.
Yeah, like that shot, like leading up, was pretty cool. But then,
and then you saw the face, and you were like,
when I saw the face, it was that I could tell that I know it's a prosthetic, but it's like the head was so bulky that it was kind of like,
looked bulbous in a strange way.
Too big.
Yeah,
you know,
it's too big for the body.
But then she just explodes into corn and kills Bo, and that's the movie.
Yeah.
Woo!
It's just it was just like, if I could find a representation of how we as a couple felt about this movie, this would be it.
Yeah,
you know,
one big corny fart, bro.
You know, it was just really,
no, it's Ian Malcolm.
Really bad.
That
you know,
one big pile of shit.
It was. I do think it's
a big corny turd. I don't remember eating corn. I don't remember eating children. Yeah, the one thing I will say is it didn't bore me. It was awful enough that I was like, ugh, like I can't wait to talk about this movie tomorrow.
Yeah, it was just
being a solid,
you know.
And I mean, shit, it was on Shudder. You know, if you have Shudder already, and you want something to kill an hour and a half, stick it on. You know, I would recommend if you like shitty horror movies.
Yeah,
which I do. I just happen to do. Like, I would have watched this regardless of having the podcast or not, because I for some reason like the Children of the Corn movies. You know, I think I'm just a big sucker for Stephen King stuff, but God, it just was a hot, steamy piece of shit, bro.
Yeah. It was like, there's just nothing really to save it, you know. If I mean, apart from, let's say, some of the kills, and you know, and also, exactly, like, I can count on one finger how many good kills there were. and maybe the design of the monster, that was about it. Yeah. Nothing else. The soundtrack was shit. I'm sorry, it was.
I would never say that. Her look was shit, the corn was shit, the children were shit, the town was shit. Fuck you, corn. Season 2 Untucked is the best, most unhinged thing of all time, I swear to God.
You know, let me just say that by the end of this, if there is a sequel, which I doubt we will get,
I doubt it.
I won't be investing. I'm out.
The thing is, these movies just never do good.
No, they don't.
You know, but I also think because, like, it's kind of a... Like, this is not the kind of thing I think you should or can make sequels to.
Yeah.
Because, like, the original short story is very open and closed. There doesn't leave a lot of room for whatever. I think if they ever do make one, I think they need to go back in time. They need to make it a period piece where there is kind of native mysticism around it, or where...
Or you could straight up do like that Salem Witch Trials thing.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
We need something like that.
Something where going further back into period piece where you're relying much more on the more bare necessities, basic reliability of things, much more interesting.
Like, our town is absolutely going to die if we don't have this corn.
Yeah.
You know, or kind of adding the kind of Wicker Man element into it, where it's like, we're completely going to fail
unless we appease something.
Exactly. You know, like, I don't know. I just... see, the thing I think I find most disappointing about this is that, like, a story like this does have a lot of promise, but they never seem to be able to deliver.
It's just poorly executed.
It was. You know? It really was.
It's like there's faith enough to greenlight it, but there's no faith in it to follow through.
Yeah, it is one of the weaker Stephen King stories, I think, even though I really enjoy it. But because it's so...
I like the message behind it, where religious fanaticism can go to such an extent that can be detrimental to the people as followers. I like that as a theme. It just wasn't executed well with this film, you know? And that's unfortunate. It's bad script writing. It was bad storytelling. Terrible acting, terrible soundtrack, god awful shots. Yeah, it was just boring.
I did cleanse my palate last night with Urban Legends Final Cut, which again is kind of shitty, but in the way that I like. It's in the Scream genre for me.
So
Like,
if you
it's nostalgia
don't
that
want to
way.
watch this film, don't.
So next week,
Nächste Woche.
I thought we were going to do Dr. Sleep, but you know what? I'm going to go with something easy and something fun and something light.
Because this one was so shit.
I don't know if you've seen this or not, or have even heard of it. I am picking Assassination Nation.
I've heard the name before. I have no idea
Oh,
what it is,
it's
though.
so good. I'm not going to tell you shit about it. Just
Okay.
I watched it like probably like 8 times since it's come out. It's very good. I like it a lot.
Okay. What year?
2015.
Okay, so
Or
the
so.
20s. Okay.
It's good. It's good. It's something kind of different.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny, but it's... Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I like it a lot.
All right. Well, you've been listening to They're Here.
podcast.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on some Instagrams for some daily updated content.
Oh, wait, we
darling.
didn't say. We got some feedback and we got some interactions with the Dragula girls last week.
What?
And Delta Work followed us. I was talking to her on Instagram.
Hey, Delta girl.
I want to see you go off.
Love you.
Oh, that was actually really, really crazy to me.
That's
I came
such a proud
home
moment.
from the night of...
Screaming.
I know,
Roisin
I literally
Murphy.
was. I was literally jumping up and down in my kitchen. I came home from Roisin Murphy, a little drunk, very hungry. You texted me, you were like, this message just woke me up. Like,
Yeah.
And it was Delta Work, and I was just talking to Delta Work. And then I talked to her that night, and then again the next morning.
And Coco shared her shared our post, which was awesome.
And then we
The
got
Boulets were
interactions.
watching our story.
We got the Boulets to watch our stories. We got Disasterina to watch our story, and Bitch Pudding to watch
And
our
Bitch
story.
Pudding, hey.
That was crazy. It was actually kind of bizarre.
That was so good. I was like, oh, this is it. We're on the way up, but no, we're still at rock bottom.
No, but we got to me, Delta Work is a big follow. Yeah. I'm actually a very, very big fan. I watch Very Delta, like, most mornings. Like, I'm having breakfast and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Deuces.